It's all lafilm.edu/live. Yeah. Take your seat, yeah. All right, everybody, good evening. How are you? So glad to have you guys out tonight. My name's Whitney Braid. If I don't know you, part of the events team here, and I have the honor tonight of introducing Donna Lloyd. And she's going to tell you a little more about her panelists, but I know a lot of you know Donna, but she's had an incredible career. Just wanted to share a little bit of some of the things she's done with you guys. So, of course, besides her tenure here as a professor in the entertainment business program at LAFS and a former EB internship advisor, she's also an award-winning and Emmy-nominated producer, encapsulating years of experience in various aspects of the industry. Throughout her career as a brand and packaging director, Donna's worked with such companies as Disney, we know that one, right? Where she worked across platforms on such films as the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, Haunted Mansion, Lizzie McGuire, Lilo and Stitch, the Tinkerbell franchise, E! Entertainment Television, Legacy Entertainment, and Cirque du Soleil. She was producer and judge of the music competition show Totally Packaged, executive producer on the fantasy supernatural thriller Terror of Hallows Eve, starring Caleb Thomas, Sarah Lancaster, Christian Kane, and Eric Roberts. She completed work as a consulting producer on Amazon series Finding Miles, currently in pre-production on 2 holiday Christmas movies. She's the former chair of Women in Film and the Women in Film Speaker Series. During her tenure as chair of the Women in Film, she chaired the Women in Film PSA Committee, where she produced and created an award-winning PSA for the Clinton administration entitled Get Tech, to which Steven Spielberg and his team created the special effects, garnering many awards. Currently, through her involvement with Women in Film, she and her illustrious team in front of you today have created yet another award-winning PSA, garnering not only a 2018 Telly Award, but a 2019 Emmy nomination. So guys, please welcome Donna Lloyd.
Before we get started, are we going to show the spot? Are we going to be showing it? Is there a way to view it? Okay. I was just going to see if we were going to be able to do that. So I could not have created, or we could not have created this amazing spot that has garnered these many awards if it wasn't for a team. It always takes a village. It doesn't take one individual. It always takes a team to put things together, to put a project together, to put a film together. So the first person I want to introduce is Ramel Foster Owens, who's sitting here right to the left of me. She's also an award-winning filmmaker, producer, director, writer of countless films and TV series, and president of Jawara Films. She's had literally worked on many, many projects and is in development on various films as well. She's also very active within Women in Film. That's where we have all worked on these various projects together. One individual who's also on his way right now is Alex Gray, who is also an Emmy-nominated producer who brought his perspective of DC Comics and the comic book to the Warner Brothers brand. He's literally on his way, but unfortunately he was in a fender bender on the way here. So he will be making his entrance in just a moment. One individual that I do not want to forget, who cannot be with us here today, is Bonnie Spence, who was the director of our PSA. She's an Emmy-winning producer and worldwide senior executive of special features for Warner Brothers. And so I just wanted to make sure that you all knew that there is a process that we had gone into, and Ramel was also a producer on the spot, and the 2 individuals that I have to the left of us is why also we are here today, because they are the alumni of our EB program. And those of you who have been in my class as well will know that I like to immerse you into various experiences when you can. So I think some of us, we went to Sony Pictures together, we played with cameras, we had all kinds of experiences, which you'll share in just a moment. But I also, why we are here today is because I have not seen the two of you in quite some time. And we are here today to present this award to you that I'm very proud to present, because this is the Telly Award that we received on our PSA that you had also worked on, and your names are on that spot, on that particular spot. So it will forever, ever be encapsulated here at the school. Miss Monica Yates and Mr. Devin Banks. Thank you very much. I would like to start over at that end of our tally, is to get your experiences, Monica, as to what it was like working on this particular spot, being thrown in. As I always tell the students, I throw you into the trenches, and literally this was something that you were thrown into the trenches, and then under the tutelage of Ramel as well, because Ramel worked a lot with our students as well, keeping them in tow through the process. The mean one. So I'd love to talk a little bit about how that was, and also a little bit about what you're doing now as well.
So it was a great experience. We got there at 5 a.m. on the Santa Monica Pier. It was freezing in the beginning of the day. As soon as the grip truck got there, we started unloading everything, and I immediately knew that that's where I was supposed to be. It was a very long day. Long. I think we might have went past when we were supposed to be wrapped, but it happens. You know, you kind of just fly with it. Don't overthink it. You go where you're supposed to. That day, I was supposed to be PAing with the set teacher, which I did, and I got to learn all about child permits and how long they're allowed to work and how often they're supposed to take breaks and if it's during the week and that kind of thing. Mostly if they're in school during the week, you have to find time for them to do homework as well. But thankfully, it was on a Saturday, so we didn't have to worry about that. And then that transitioned into me running all over the place, being a stand-in to make sure that the cue marks were right and making sure the kids had sunblock and making sure everyone had water. It's just kind of, you're kind of like a chameleon on set almost. Like you take whatever form you need to.
And this is what you do in Art of the Pitch every day, right?
Yes, exactly what you do in Art of the Pitch every day. But outside of that, I got the experience of working with Ramel a couple more times on a couple more sets, which was fantastic. I absolutely adore both of these ladies for the experiences that I've had. Ramel has taught me a lot as well. The short that we worked on after that was maybe a month after we got done with the PSA, and that one was a 3-day production, and that was probably the longest one that I've done.
And Ramel, how did that come to be? Why did we end up working with Monica again after that? How did this whole thing come about?
I guess I wasn't mean enough. And she came back for more, or something's wrong with her? Maybe, I don't know. Well, the opportunity to be on a set at any time, you never know who's watching you, and you never know who's doing what. Myself, I've been in the business since I was 19 years old. And when I was 19, I started out writing, producing, directing a 1-hour television show that was weekly. I had no clue what I was doing, but I was doing, and I asked other people. So, and the way I got that job was somebody was watching me, and they invited me to come and be on the show, and then invited me to come back, and they go, oh, you know what, here, this is your show. You know what I mean? So it's really important that you do whatever jobs is asked of you to do. It's not about the pay, although everybody wants to get paid. This PSA, the professionals were donating back, so we weren't getting paid. But we really needed people to help us that knew what they were doing or were willing to learn and learn it quickly right there on the spot, right there on the spot. And to ask questions, know how to know when to ask those questions, because our crew was freaking amazing, and it was totally diverse, and we had Cynthia Pushak, who was in the ASC. If you look her up, she's won a bunch of awards. She was a cinematographer for Brothers and Sisters. She's worked in Canada all the time. And because of the way I came up, I was always curious what everybody else's job was. Because, and that was just my natural curiosity, because I just need to, I don't know, maybe I have a little ADD, but I don't think so, but maybe. So I just really want to know what's going on. So I purposely put them into various areas that they had never done before, so that they could experience what that is. And as a filmmaker, and I've won a ton of awards too, Emmys, Tellys, a whole bunch of crap. But that's the way I look at it. You know, because the awards are great, but at the end of the day, I mean, it's a nice affirmation that you did a good job and other people value what you did. But you still want to be valued even if you don't win an award. That's what I'm saying. So that means you go out and you do your best and best. The reason why Monica, I picked her out of the lot, I think we had 7 or 10 students.
8 students.
Yeah.
8 students.
And there were like 2 or 3 of them that I totally picked out and put them on other productions that I was doing, because the majority of the stuff I do is fast and requires people who can get it, and they're not sensitive, get mad because somebody said something to them or whatever, because you don't have time a lot of times. I think I'm a pretty nice person on set, though, right? Yeah, okay.
Let's
See-
just
see
say
how-
you know
see-
when to
yeah.
listen. You know when to listen and when she's joking. That's all
Yeah.
there is.
See, that's why she came back, because she said, yeah,
And
yeah,
the thing
sure, you're
is,
great.
One thing that you're saying that I think is real important, and I tell it to the students all the time who are saying, well, I want to do something. I want to work with you as well. But what you're saying is real important, is that you got to do something when you think no one is watching. Okay? And I have worked with many students who have also graduated, even with some students when I was working an internship and giving them certain internships, and students would say, well, how come I can't get one? Well, you're not showing up into class. You're coming in late. You're showing up when you feel like it. You're playing on your phone all the time.
Ooh, I had that
Ooh.
recently.
Even if you are doing your pitch assignment, and I'm right behind you, and you're on Facebook, and I'm right behind you. Okay, so these are things to be aware of, that you don't know who's watching you, and I mean that in a good way. That's why even when you're interning, bring them the best coffee the best way you know how. It'll make a big difference. But I know that, Ramel, you've worked with a lot of other students on here as well. And so have I from there. And so I want to bring it down now and talk to Devin a bit and say, Devin, tell us a little bit about what you had worked on, and what was your experience? What did you do on the spot?
Well, I was a grip. This is actually like my first time helping out on a film. I'm actually like a music artist, but the fun thing about it was kind of like, it was intense, honestly, really intense, very intense. Like, you had to be on edge pretty much all the whole time, because like, it doesn't seem like it. Like, when you think of like shooting and stuff, you think, oh, just take a shot and then that's it. Like, as a grip, you gotta like move stuff around and like pay attention. You can't really be on your phone like that at all. Like, I wasn't on my phone the whole day. I was just focused. It was like, I think 10 hours. It was just wild.
And I remember you telling me, Devin, that you're saying, you know what? I work 10-hour jobs and I can't stand it because it's jobs I don't like. But I've never done this, but I could do 10 hours in this any day because I had so much fun doing it. It was so immersive. And that's the truth. When you love what you do, you don't even realize how long it is because you are stuck in the trenches going. And what I think was exciting is that you got to see myself in a different hat outside the world, and you've got to see the wonderful colleagues that I work with, that I surround ourselves with. And Ramel was stating something that was very important when it said that we did all this in kind. And let me tell you a little bit about what that had to do with. We were telling you that the spot, we both very much involved with Women in Film. I used to be one of the chairs of Women in Film for their speaker series, and I was also one of the original chairs for the PSA committee, which produces public service announcements for charities that can't afford it. Okay, and they pitch us each year. There's a pitch session where they pitch to us. We're not talking about the Ronald McDonald houses. We're talking about these charities that can't afford to do it themselves. And when we pick the ones that we are worked on, that are going to be working on, we put our all in. And they are people who are doing this are professionals. She talked about Cynthia Pushak, who's she's an Emmy-nominated cinematographer. A lot of us up here were also have garnered a lot of different awards as well. We're all professionals, but this is our way of giving back. And I think a lot of that is shown in the spot that we created and the intent that comes across that way. And yes, it's nice to have that nomination that we have and that we won, but to me what makes it even more special is that it was done from the heart, is that we all did this and we didn't get paid. Okay? There's a lot to be said of doing things at times for doing them, not always just looking for the money.
Yeah, because when you talk about in kind, we had a very tight budget. Our cash amount that we had to make this PSA was $7,500. Nothing.
Most of
It's
it goes to
nothing.
insurance.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, because of the people who we know in the industry, which is really important that you network and know people because you never know when you can help them or when they can help you. At the end of the day, with all of the in-kind services and all the union people that worked on our PSA and that gave money, you know, other sponsors that gave money for posts, et cetera, that spot now is a $300,000 spot.
So it's $300,000 spot for $7,500.
And no one would give us in kind if they didn't realize we were professionals and serious about what we were doing and that what we were doing was really important. It's like Bonnie Spence, our director, who's fantastic, and she chaired the Women in Film PSA program. I don't know how she did that. Do you know? Do you, Donna? No, for like 12 years.
For 12,
the reason why I don't know how
I did
she
it for 4. She did well. I was part of it in the beginning for 4 years, but she was running it for 12 years on top of working on many of films and projects while
Right.
she's at Warner Brothers
Yeah,
and
she-
still running this program.
The reason why she's not here today is because she's on set at Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
So you can be exposed to all kinds of people that can move you forward. I think one thing that's really important in this industry is to get a mentor. But when you get a mentor, be serious about that and know when to talk to them, when not to talk to them, and stay in touch. Don't let them have to chase you.
I just said that to my students a few moments ago, right? Stay in touch. You got to be in touch, right?
It's like Leon that's not here. Leon Hogg was also a student here. He's not here today either because he had a situation as well. But I think I hired Leon probably 8 times after that. And you know why? Because he came on, he was driving the truck, which is a big deal, a huge responsibility. He was driving the grip truck. He loaded it when we went to, when we were at the facility. And then he really loved being a grip. He knew how to be a grip. And you knew he knew how to do it because of the way he was hustling. He was everywhere. Flying in, that's what people like to hear on the set. Bring me a this, flying in. And the other thing is know what certain things are. If you're working with a cinematography crew and somebody says, bring me a baby, they really don't want a screaming baby, And that's another part that's difficult to actually intern on because they don't have time to teach you anything. And they don't want to teach you anything. They're really busy. We had a 10, 12-hour day, and it was less time than it would have been because we had children on set.
And we had to be very wary of that. And when you're saying where they had to learn, the day before, which is not part of my class, I gave them a crash course literally on the ethics of working on a set, who they report to. I said, here you report to me if I'm your instructor. On there, I'm not the person you go running to every second. Okay, because everybody has a different position that they have when they're on set. And I respect, and all of you guys are really, really cognizant of that. And you all worked hard. And I remember between yourself, I think at times, and Trisha was up there, it was she's a very hot day. And when Alex gets here, he'll explain, we had a lot of ice and ice cream. And we had an ice cream truck that we decided to have in the spot.
Because that's what our director wanted.
And it was chocolate chip ice. No, it was mint chocolate chip. And it started melting. So we're like, let's just go to the CVS. Well, no, we can't just get every ice cream. It has to be mint chocolate chip because it's going to read well. And so I'm sending these poor girls, I'm saying, here's money, just go. Where am I supposed to go? Go figure it out. Exactly. We got to get mint chocolate chip, go. And they did it. They went, and I was really proud. You got to figure it out because you might have it lined up of how you think your shoot is going to go, but those of you who've ever been on a shoot or working in music or events or anything, nothing ever goes as it plans. So you have to be able to think on the spot. And I have to say I was so proud of that class because this was not part of the class, but I wanted you to have this experience because you might not have that experience had you not had this. And whether you decide to stay in it or go into music and what have you, it all crosses over because you still have to know production if you're doing music videos and different aspects. Before I just go, comment, I was just going to read something.
Yeah, I wanted to say something because you were talking about things don't go the way they're supposed to go. And a lot of times people don't know what a producer does until it's not done.
Yes.
Okay? No, seriously.
Yeah.
Because you're in charge of everything from giddy up to whoa. You know, you're a psychologist, you're this, you're that, you're a whole bunch of things.
Therapist, yes.
Yeah. So we were shooting at the park in Santa Monica. What's the name of that park? Yeah, but anyway, it's brand new.
It's at the pier, right
Yeah,
across
it's
from
beautiful.
the pier.
If you ever go down to Santa Monica, it's directly across. It used to be a parking lot, but it's now this eco-friendly, blah, blah, blah. And we were the very first people that they allowed to film in this park. And I mean, Warner Brothers and Sony and a whole bunch of other people had asked to film there, and they said no, because they know what a film crew could do. So I promised them that we would take care of the park, and another difficult thing we had was that we had to share the park with anybody who came into the park. And this park, if you have kids or whatever, it's great because they have a little water and water climbing. I mean, it's really pretty. It's really, really nice. So this lady decided, because you couldn't make any reservations. See, I got attitude about it now. She decided she was having a birthday party for her daughter. Oh, okay. And she was going to have it right where we were going to have lunch. Oh, okay. Now, I've given my word that we are not going to disrupt the park, right? Well, the only problem was she was coming with me with attitude. That's kind of not a good thing.
You don't want to do that. Not with Ramel.
Nah. There was another group that was having a birthday party, and they wanted to do it where our crew was base camped at. So what we did was said, hey, Leon, go get a table off the truck, blah, 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 blah. And we set them up with a nice table and gave them some little food and whatever. They were just happy as they could be, right? Because it came at us correct. Like, oh, wow, we realize there's a problem. She was more or less like, well, do you have kids? Yes, I do. Blah, blah, blah. You know, like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna work this out for you. Just hold tight, okay? So the reason why it worked out, and that's a big problem, big thing that producers do is solving problems. And most of your job is done. Same with executive producer. You know, Donna, like, wow, just so many amazing things. I mean, we had food we wouldn't have had. We had this we wouldn't have had. We had all kinds of things we wouldn't have had had not have been for Donna and her connections. So what we weren't doing Subway sandwiches, okay?
I don't do Subway on
No, I don't
We do
either.
gourmet.
And just because you don't, just because you don't have money doesn't mean that you should not have a spread. You know, if you do enough low budget stuff, you can figure out where you can go and get a dinner. Guess what? El Pollo Loco is a good place to go. Because a lot of people don't go there, and they're really surprised when the food comes there. So I'm talking to this lady, and we have a monitor.
An unlimited Starbucks. Go ahead.
Yes. We have a monitor from the city of Santa Monica, which means they're walking around. So the first thing you want to do is make that monitor comfortable with you, okay, that you're going to do the right thing. But they could shut us down at any time, right? So I told her, I said, okay, I'm going to work this out. It worked out because partially she was going to be able to, she wanted to use the playground that was over there. She was able to do it because her little party was before our lunch, and our lunch was going to be in the same area, you know. So I was able to work that out with her, but at the same token, people come at you all crazy, so you have to be calm. Because I was calm, like, really? Okay. That was what I was thinking, but I'm not saying that, right? So it's really, really important that you pay attention to all of your surroundings. And when you're working with children, even more so, and we're in a park that we are not in control of.
And one thing, if you've had my class and a couple of my classes, I say improv is so important. There's a prime example when I say improv is important. We do these fun exercises of improv, but there's a reason why, because you have to improv at any given time, and you have to be able to handle a situation, and that's when you're able to put out fires and try to please everybody so that, okay, we'll do this, we'll do that, because we have to get it done. We only have a certain amount of time to get these done. So I'm glad you mentioned that. So next time when I'm talking about improv in this class, you guys will understand what that means.
And plus, here's the thing. We did such a great job, they decided to open up the park to other productions.
That's right.
Because they realized how we could how you could keep it going and take care of everything there. Really, seriously, that's a really unique park. Go and check it out.
I wanted to share one thing that our director, Bonnie, had sent over that I wanted to share with you because she wanted to make sure that I said these things. Number one, I think that we were all together on the vision from the start. Our teamwork started at the top, and the four of us rocked it out. We, capital We, supported each other, and that's number one. You have to support each other. You really have to be able to hear each other and support each other in a production, or nothing's ever going to get done. Right? You can't have too many chefs in a kitchen. Okay? We showed respect for everyone. Number two, pre- and post-production, we supported each other again. I knew what I wanted as a director. I wrote the letter for the location. I took the shots so I can communicate with your wonderful Marty Klein. Marty Klein is a dear friend of mine who was a storyboard artist at Sony Imageworks. He wasn't doing that anymore, but again, I was like, hey, Marty, feel like working with me again. So he did these amazing storyboards because without storyboards, you need to have a vision to really capture what it is that you want to do. He did it, and he did this for free, all for free. Okay. Storyboards are the first step from creative to real. Ramel knew, capital letters, who the grandparents should be from the start, and she was right. Okay, we handpicked these. You, Donna, knew the kids were not working. These kids were not working that we hired at first. And you suggested a new casting, and you were right, Donna. So we wore many hats. I was casting director, I was craft services, we all wore 10 different hats, and that's what you do as a producer, executive producer, casting director. We were all wearing 100 different hats, and my students literally jumped into creating all those various hats as they jumped in as well. And I wanted to kind of hear just a little bit, what are you doing now, Monica? What are you doing since you have left us here at LA Film School? What have you been working on?
Well, I've completely switched sides. I'm no longer in film.
Okay.
I switched to the music side of things. I've taken all of my experiences from the film and tried to incorporate it as best as I can. After I graduated school, I was doing live events for about a year and a half. I was producing events similar to this, panel speaking events. And then that's when I started realizing my real passion was connecting with the community and doing publicity and PR. And one of my really good friends is an upcoming R&B artist, and I fell in love with his music from the start, and I told him that I would 100% join his team. So I've been doing publicity for him. Shout out to Somewhere, SUMWHR. But other than that, it's the same thing as I was before, just keeping that hustle alive, trying to one step forward, no steps back, hopefully. But I am always, always, always grateful for my experience that I got to meet Donna and Ramel and get to work with both of them. Like both of them pointed out, getting a mentor is great. Donna was my mentor all through school. I was privileged enough to have her 3 times, not just twice. And it was the greatest blessing to be able to have her and learn from her, both of these ladies actually. And Trish, even though that she couldn't be here, she did leave a note for me to read, if you don't mind. It's about her experience working with Donna as well. If there was a few things I could mention about working on that set with Donna, it's that she gave me the confidence to reach out to others and be the go-to PA. From assisting with casting months prior to filming her feature, Terror of Hallows Eve, learning about child's permits and physically turning in and picking up paperwork from the city, to being on set and networking around to landing my marketing internship with Illusion Industries. All I can say is opportunity is where you make it. Donna was an incredible instructor and an even better friend and mentor. Overall, I had a blast learning new skills and taking advantage of saying yes. Trying new roles on set and networking guided me to a great career working in film, and nowadays I look back and am proud to have learned so much from Donna because it makes me an even better filmmaker today. Please send my best wishes to the crew, and I hope you have a great run for the remaining of LAFS Fame Week. Trisha.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Devin,
Whoa.
my musician who turned film turned musician. So what have we been up to, Devin?
Since I graduated, I moved to Phoenix, Arizona. And
All right. And what are we doing in Phoenix?
I just needed a change of scenery, honestly. Like, I'm kind of tired of California. Need a break from it. Yeah.
So you
But-
went to the desert. Okay.
Yeah. It's cheaper. It's a lot cheaper out there, too. That's another reason. But outside of that, I'm doing, like, my clothing brand heavy and music heavy still. Like, I have a lot of music on Apple Music, Spotify, all of the platforms, videos, photo shoots, trying to network more now, like a lot more, because like during school, it was just like I was trying to be a student, be open to things, and like working with Donna Lloyd, it was just a great experience because you kind of opened my mind to different things that I probably wouldn't have done. And I just say that as to for any students out there that's listening, take advantage of opportunities because I didn't know what this was going to be. I just did it because it was an opportunity to try something that I'm not normally used to doing and just constantly being out of your comfort zone. So you know that she helped me with that a lot, and I appreciate her forever for that.
Thank you for that. You guys are sweet. I want to start crying.
Well, Donna, can I mention who our actors were?
Oh, please, yes,
Yeah,
yes. Please talk about them.
Kay
please.
Cottrell, who, if you look her up, she's done a lot of things. I've worked with Kay on a lot of stuff. I mean, literally, when she first plucked me to produce a film that she was directing, and Craig Stepp played her husband, and they were grandparents. The piece is about when you're losing your eyesight, and I can never remember the name of it, but it's different than just you losing your eyesight. And so we're making people more aware of that. And then Alexandria Dove played their daughter. Anybody know? You guys know any of those people? You look like you do. Okay, all right. I'm interested to know something.
Yes.
What? Because both of you changed directions, which
is fine.
no, it is definitely fine. But what I want to know is what did you learn, particularly when you were on the set that day, that you have carried on through to what you're doing now?
You want to go first?
I learned a lot, so I'm trying to think.
Just think of one thing.
For me, it's just take things serious. Like regardless if there's like an end result with it, it's just take it serious and be focused while you're doing it. Like that's what I learned from it. Like just be ready at all times because you never know what's gonna happen.
Something similar to that would be like you were talking about, improving. My favorite thing was obviously we shared the park with the public, and we had a lot of parents with their little kids playing on the playground, and you can't just boot everyone out of the playground when you're sharing it with the public. So we ended up scrambling, running around, getting everyone's permission forms signed, and trying to explain this to like probably 50 or 60 different people, what we were trying to do. Most people were okay with it. Most people were like, oh yeah, my kid's gonna be on TV, great, cool, awesome. But some people were like, no, I don't want that. So those no's, you really had to figure out the best solution on how to either get them to leave the park for at least 10 minutes for us to get the shot, or how to work around it. But definitely improving, I would say, is probably the best skill that I learned that day.
And thank you for saying that, because a lot of times we can say it, but unless it comes, so it's almost like, your mom can say something over and over again and you don't listen. And as soon as someone else says, it's like, oh, do you know I can, I know. So is the other person. And there's a lot of truth to that. It's really being able to think on your feet is so important. It's really important. I want to just take this a little bit further so that...
Wait.
Yeah, yes.
There was something you forgot to mention.
Yes.
How y'all, Santa Monica, y'all, they take care of the community. Like there was a lot of homeless people at the park. and we gave them all food.
That's right.
The park has Wi-Fi, so I'm like, this park, if you ever become homeless, this is probably the best park to be homeless at, honestly.
There you go. So if you ever get hungry and we don't have enough food offers here at school, you know where to go. I wanted, though, to talk a little bit about just as we're saying, we literally were a one-machine team that kept going and going, and in order to get any kind of awards or nominations or any of that, it's a lot of work to try. It's one thing to create a film, a commercial, a TV show, but one thing is then trying to get it sold and trying to get it aired. And that is where I was going 24/7 with our director of how am I going to expose this great message. And in the very beginning, I had a lot of doors that were being shut about trying to even get this aired in a theater, because you have to understand anything you put on TV, anything you put on the air is normally a paid spot. And me, I'm like, I want it for free because it's me, you know. So I went in there and I had a lot of no's, and then eventually I got some yeses, and it was played in some theaters. And so I was very excited about that. But my biggest kudo came from when we were, in order to be nominated for an Emmy or to be nominated for any kind of film, you have to have it airing in the public for a minimum of 2 weeks. So through lots of struggle, it took a while to try to say, okay, what networks are going to be able to air their spot for free, right? When people are paying lots of money, right, to get their commercials aired. Well, I found some great station heads. It only took one station head who saw the spot and was like, yes, I will play this. I said, we only need it for 2 weeks. And I thought, okay, you know, they might just air, probably they're going to be airing it in wee hours of the night. He says, Donna, we love the spot so much. We had it in heavy rotation, and it played over 600 times in heavy rotation. So we were extremely excited. It was beyond anything that I could ever imagined. And I literally was in tears that somebody embraced our vision for this because of what we truly had put into it and where it came from. And that's why perseverance is so important as to getting it. And so I'm very excited that it was completely going. And now with the nomination, they're like, wow, we're going to completely continue to air it as well. So now it's like, wow.
And that's no easy feat, what she's talking about, what Donna had to do in order to get our PSA aired, because PSAs normally get some free time, but you're in competition with everybody else, including the Ronald McDonald House, okay? And because maybe they pay for their spots and maybe they don't. They have the money to do it. So I think for me, one of the most exciting things when I do something and you see it out there in the public is very strange at first when you see that. But to know that you did something for a charity, and the whole point was for the charity to get recognition, for people to understand about you need to take care of your eyesight or whatever, to know that we reached people, and particularly, and that people loved what we did, because they wouldn't put it on if they didn't like it. And they wouldn't put it on if it wasn't within industry standards, because they have too many other pieces to choose from. So Donna being persistent in finding a place that would really run our PSA is pretty amazing, because I know how difficult it is to get a piece of that pie. It's very difficult.
It was like on TNT, it was on ABC, NBC, it was on so heavy rotation. So it was like all the networks started taking it, and I was like, wow. So it was truly, truly amazing, and I'm so glad that all of you also got to work on this and be a part of it and really get to experience that, because it is a lot of work, whether you work on music or film. You know, we always see the end product and like, oh, wow, that's so cool. But people outside of our bubble, they don't know what it takes to get there. They don't know the blood and sweat that goes into it. So all of you get to really experience what that is, and you're going through that process now yourself. I want to open it up just for a little bit here as well too, if any of you have any questions about anything, any little heart desires. Any questions, comments about anything? Yeah. Well, the question is when we received the pitches of the various charities, what was it about this piece, about this charity that we decided to go with? Well, one of the reasons that I know that why I was drawn to this is that their mission was very, very clear of what they truly wanted. And it's always so hard to try to say, well, this one's more important than that one. And we only were able to choose 5 of them per year to choose. So a lot of times we have a lot of submissions and only 5. And I also saw it as an area that hasn't been touched before. It really hasn't been touched. And it's a disease that affects everybody. It's something that affects everybody as you get older when they say, eat your carrots, eat all this. There's a lot to be said. But in order to us to continue with that after we had chosen to do it, before any of the writing even occurred on it, Bonnie and I, did you go down with us to the charity? Was it just Bonnie? I don't remember.
No,
when
I
we
went.
You went, the 3 of us, yeah. We all went down.
Because we have to check them out too.
We wanted to, and they had a whole bunch of people of all ages. I mean, honestly, there was one person that was also there in their 20s that was suffering with this. And one thing that I remember, just a little funny situation that happened is that we all wanted to take this particular test to check our eyesight. And I was wearing my glasses that day and not my contact lenses. And so I took the glasses, and I got very nervous a second because my eyes like shifted. I was like, oh my God, I have it. No, it's because you took your glasses off. You know, it's like because the vision just changed when I was trying to see it with it and without it. But it's always hard to choose, but a lot of it is also when they are pitching to us, it has to be clear. Because we're not there to 100% help them figure it out. They have to be clear with what they want their mission to be, if that makes sense. So it's just like any kind of pitch in a film, it has to be clear.
Well, and most people that have charities don't pitch normally. So they're scared as all get out because you're in a room with about 30 people looking at you, and those 30 people don't know you, and they're going to vote. At the end of the day, it gets down to a vote. Like Donna was saying, we could only choose 5. Sometimes when people pitch, it's very obvious. Like I produced and wrote and directed Operation Gratitude, and that is a PSA. There's no way I wouldn't do it. I grew up in San Diego. It was one of the biggest ones we did. My parents weren't in the military, neither one of them. But these are people who were given care packages to our military people in harm's way, totally free of charge. Didn't matter where they were. And had given away like 700,000 at that time. By the time we did the PSA and it aired, they had gotten enough money to do $1 million. They're at $2 million now. Mm-hmm. So something like that makes a lot of sense when you see the people behind it. So it's a feeling, you get it. Bonnie was really gravitated towards it as well. Mm-hmm. Because at this point, here's a little secret. Donna and I were, whatever Bonnie wants to do, we're gonna do it with her. The reason why we were gonna do it with her was because Bonnie being the chair of that program helped
Her what she loves is doing movie trailers as well as with Steven Spielberg, even that particular piece I had the company. And they're this out. I mean, that's what she said. I'm the director on this. I'm not producing this. So she calls James Cameron, and he couldn't do it. He was in the middle of everything. But I knew that in the next couple days, we had the Crystal Awards over at Women in Film. And they were honoring a lot. Oh, I can't think of what it is. My mind is going blank. The thing I could do. So I introduced myself, and I said, hey, here. There's music, film, there's
That's cool.
everything here, yeah.
One way to do, well, for me, I mentor a lot, but it's usually somebody's referred to me usually, or they were working on a set that I was the producer or the director, and maybe they were a PA or whatever, and they had the courage to come up and talk to me and ask me for my information, and I gave it to them. On whatever it is you want to do. If it's music you're into doing music videos or being a musician or whatever, is try to put yourself in situations where that's going on. And don't be afraid to talk to people. Because it's really interesting that a lot of times when people are way up here, very few people come and talk to them. So part of it is not to just say, oh, I love your work, but have something very specific to say to them, not just I love your work, but you know what, when you did blah, blah, blah,
And
it
I've
really made a
told you
difference.
guys over and over again, right? That's what I tell them all the time.
Oh, but I'm telling them now so they'll
But
get
now-
it right.
but now they're going to
yeah.
listen to you. They'll listen
My
to
kids
you.
are the same thing.
So-
My kids are the same way. And
So
my
I
son's
gotta
a
bring her
cinematographer and my
in.
daughter's an executive at HBO.
So
I don't
let's-
know anything when it comes to that.
So I will make sure every class that I teach, she'll teach after it again.
Yeah. So then I call my friends up and say, hey, call blah, blah, blah. You know, like for my son, he's a cinematographer, and we both graduated from the American Film Institute. And that's more of a conservatory kind of atmosphere. I know a lot, like I said, I started very young in the industry. So they're second generation, both my children. But I don't know, I know me what light I should be using, or this is flickering or doing whatever. You know, so I said, look, Brickman, I'm going to introduce you to two DPs, and you go talk to them. So at that point, I just introduced them. How do you get to have appreciate that? My son is working right now on Coming to America. Yeah. Exactly. Now I'm having a little issue with him putting his his reel together because he's being precious about it. What it is. You have he can call him. Johnny's been a friend of mine for a long time. I get mentors as well. Back in the day, I was exec producing a film, and I had brought on two professional actors. They were on a different world, and they were dark-skinned women, and they decided, I got a call, oh, we're not working today. Excuse me? Because these are like my friends, because this ain't right. The lighting's not right. They worked enough to know when their lighting should be what it was. They might not be able to tell you what light it was, but they knew the light wasn't right.
And that's the important thing, is that you articulate it.
Right. So I called Johnny. Hey, Johnny, I need a favor. Babe, what you need? I'm having dinner with my family right now. I told came back to work. Okay, Johnny's here, we're good. Do you know what I mean? So you need to be able to have somebody that if you, in music, there's producers in music, there's all kinds of things. You have to be able to have somebody that you can call. I was doing another PSA, and I needed a song and whatever, and I'm calling, I was so stupid one time. This person, we're really good friends now, his on Martin or whatever, that's who was introducing me to him, okay? And I said, oh, did you bring your resume? He goes, yeah. His name is Terrence Dudley, I'll tell you guys. So I looked at his resume, and I just told you who he was, right? Because I didn't look him up. You guys punked me. I mean, because he was all cool. He wasn't like, don't you know who I am? Or he wasn't like that. And we've been friends for like 15 years or whatever. So now when I'm doing something else, I needed a song, and I needed some music for it. He goes, oh, I'll ask LB. LB, sure. Yeah. And they wrote the music for, it was actually another PSA, which was the Gang Alternatives program. Because LB had children, he liked what it was about, and he knew Terrence. So if Terrence was, then I'm somebody. You understand what I'm saying? So you never know when somebody can help you or when you can help them. But it's really important to know what they do. And you may not know all of what you want to do here, but at the end of the day, being in the industry is one of the most difficult places to be. But be present.
That's where I'm going to pick up to answer some of your question as well, because I do know a bit about you. I do know that you are part of the Grammy Academy. I do know everything that you have been doing with them. One of the things is that when I tell you guys to do certain things and join certain things and get involved with certain things, the ones that are really listening to me, that are really going to be moving, are the ones that I do gravitate to, because they're showing me that they are motivated towards what they want. They're moving towards what they want, not what they... You guys got it, okay? You know the phrase I say a lot too. Okay, so a lot of that is how to get instructors also as mentors, is that you need to listen to them and then prove yourself. A lot of times we'll tell you certain things and then you do the opposite of what we're sort of telling you to do, but that's why you're here, okay? So if we see you moving in that direction and we're guiding you like, they get it, they're moving, they're doing that, and that's what you are doing. Because a lot of times when I've told some of you to do things and you're telling me, hey, I'm doing this, and yourself as well, because you got a great internship at Sony, was that correct? Yes. At Atlantic. I remember that too. Because you wanted to work on getting your resume together, you wanted to really work on packaging yourself. See, certain things come to my mind because we worked together, we got together, we sat down, and there's other students who tried to get that same internship when I headed up Internship. They couldn't get it because they were not listening. You listened and you got it. See, sir, I'm looking at some of you, and I know your stories out there because you've got to listen. Because if you want a mentor, one of the reasons why you keep mentors is, and people keep you, is because you guys are moving together and you're listening. If you're kind of being that, I hate to say like defiant child or what have you, it's like you're just going to be in this wheel that's going to be, remember, you're going to be working hard, not working smart. Okay, so that is part of it. I like to hear what you're doing. I think the instructors are the same way. We like to see you moving towards your goal and being proactive and moving towards your goal. And then we're going to have to kind of end on that just a few. Sure.
What you did and stood up and you asked a question, and it was very specific. Okay, I know who you are now. I used to do that when I was coming up. I'd go to all kinds of seminars and whatever. I made sure I asked the question. But also, then you can come afterwards. If you have a business card, you can say, hey, I would really love to come and intern for you, or I would like to be a PA, non-paid PA on your set, blah, 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 because because there's so much trust that's involved in this industry.
Exactly.
And there's so much money involved in the industry that you have to be able to do what you said you can do, kind of a thing. So you just don't pick random people to be around you because the industry views you for the people that surround you.
And it's our reputation. So that's why, the first way to prove yourself is in the classroom. If I see you're diligent and you're focused and you're coming to class and you tell me and you don't come to class and then you say, hey, I want an internship at Atlantic Records. You think I'm going to put my neck out for you and you can't even show up to class? What if you think I'm going to trust that you can show up at Atlantic Records every day? Okay, so a lot of that, exactly, so a lot of that is when it comes to referrals, you need to be very careful with that, and I've told everyone who's had me as an instructor, I've always said, I will be your biggest cheerleader. I've said that to every single one of you. I am your biggest cheerleader. I will lift you up. I will be as hard on you as I can. But at the same time, I care about you and I want to lift you up. But we got to work as a team together to make that happen.
And all of the studios, some of the networks, all have internships. And here's the other thing. You're a student, so you're not a threat to anybody. You might be, but they are not going to view you that way. You're not going to take their job. They're not going to see you doing that way. So they will mentor you that way. And these are paid internships. Try to do those. My daughter started off working for Disney as an intern in animation. They loved her so much. She worked there for about 5 years, and she went over to live action, and then she left there, and she's vice president of production at HBO. And she's mentoring people, but she's not going to mentor just anybody because she didn't have the time.
Any last moments, because we have to kind of clear out of here, and we have a little reception out there as well to kind of fill our little tummies before our next panel coming out. Yes. Hi. Yes.
You and I have talked personally, you were my professor last and I mentioned this to you, Ms. Ramel also said that asking specific questions, there are a lot of times that I've done something I don't know what to ask. But I know, like, this may be someone that I need to be talking to because this is the field or the industry I'm trying to get into. How do you figure out what it is exactly what are those specific questions? How do you figure out those specific questions you should be asking? Especially if you don't know what you want to do, but you don't want to do.
Q&As are usually at the end. Pay attention to what people are saying. Don't make it about you. Make it a question that would apply to anybody in the room pretty much, that they didn't ask or something they want to know. That's helpful to do it that way. And if you don't know, say, I don't know, I'm new to this. Again, you're a student. You're not a threat to anybody. You're not supposed to know.
But it's articulating them. As we've had this conversation, I know that you struggle with trying to articulate that you don't know what you want to do, but you want to be in the industry. And we've talked about how to say that, right? And I'm happy to meet with you again to have it sink in.
Just
Okay. 'Cause
touching
you got a
base
lot
on
of
that
talent.
from a student point
Sure.
perspective. I was like that in her class. I will never forget it because at the end of Art of the Pitch, you have to pitch yourself or pitch an idea. And that I was in that same boat. I'm like, I don't know what I want to pitch. I don't even know what I want to do in the industry. So that's exactly what I pitched. Yes, I don't know what I want to do, but I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to take those steps to further my career and eventually get to that point where I do know what I want to do.
And you did it with passion.
Yeah.
It's how you say it.
Exactly.
So we have to end here, but we'll be out there in the reception area and hope you guys will join us for a bit of some little noshing out there, and then we will retreat back in here for another great panel with Clayton Giltner. So thank you guys. Thank you so much, and thank you, my panel. Thank you.